Hey, what is going on YouTube? That's right. It is Thursday night and another exciting adventure of crowdfunding comics. Mr. Billy Tucci, what is going on, my friend?
And Mr. Nile Scala on this most hallowed of days, the 75th anniversary of the invasion of Normandy, with all of our gallant, heroes, our gallant dead that were left on that beach and behind the beachhead in the fields of Normandy to help liberate, Fortress Europe and save the world. And we owe so much to those guys that their sacrifice shall never be forgotten. And I just think it's wonderful. All the press, all the coverage that's been going on in the news. And it's been a very emotional day.
Yes, it has. And so many great documentaries are being aired right now. And I love this day. I mean, the day is a day of bloodshed. For those that have lived it and those that are still with us that remain. I mean, as the years go on, there's less and less to tell the story. But, I mean, they keep that story alive. And you ask them one question, and it's a simple answer. We're just doing what we had to do. We're doing our job. They were selfless. Yeah, incredible group of men and women.
Yep, and one of our guests, I know his dad is a World War II veteran. But, these guys they saw the worst there is of humanity, and then they came home and they got on with their lives, and they just moved on. It was that, that strenuous life, that rugged individualism that makes an American. And I got the wrong glasses on. Let me change my glasses. Sorry. I got these
glasses.
I got these are my drawing glasses. I need my reading glasses. Hang on.
Oh, jeez. Unbelievable. We've already did our first Tucci for the night.
Yep, you got a Tucci.
We got Tucci.
All right. Anyway, so let's get back. But let's get to, maybe we'll talk a little bit about Normandy later on. But right now, we'd like to welcome everybody to our 23rd show. Technically, it's like our 24th or 24th show.
It's like our 28th show, technically.
Okay, well, these are our 23rd guests. Yes. And it is one of the more ambitious crowdfunding projects we've ever come across. It's a whopping 126 pages, and it features 28 creators. So let's meet the two guys that are crazy enough to try to wrangle 28 cartoonists and writers and artists together to make a graphic novel. The heart and soul behind Werewolves and Unicorns, Mr. Mike Emeritz and Mr. Peter Palmiotti. What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having us.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Doing great. Really awesome.
Awesome. Well, we're going to try to, like I said, we had a show last night. And from the very beginning, Nile and I wanted to do a 45-minute show. Somebody went into 2.5 hours because we just start BSing, and then my wife's like, "You guys got to cut these shows down," because a lot of times your guests come on and you tell them it's going to be an hour, and then you just keep them on for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and they're too nice to say, "I got to go." So, but last night we did it. We were disciplined. We kept Preston Poulter's show to an hour. And it was fantastic. We got right to the point because there are a lot of people that come and watch the show afterwards, and a lot of them want to get the insight on what it's like to publish your own comic, what you guys go through to crowdfund your own books, either through Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Tonight it's a Kickstarter campaign, and so we're going to try to keep it straight. And as I said, Pete, Mike, if you guys got to go, be like, "I got to go. I can't do it."
All right, gotta go.
You guys talk too much.
So welcome, gentlemen. Right now, your campaign, your huge graphic novel, is at $3,380. You wanted an initial of, you only wanted $2,200. You blew that away, and 91 backers, and you've got a good 14 days to go. So congratulations.
Thank you.
It's great to see a book that's going to make it. But of course, the point is to get it to be a big hit, so you can up your production values. You could start on the next one and all. But anyway, guys, for those who may not be familiar with you out there, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves? And then
Yeah, let's start with Mike. Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I'm Mike. About 5 years ago, I joined the 100 Days Making Comics. I was kind of like on the fence between a career that I wasn't really fulfilling. I really wanted to be doing comics instead. So I found Kevin Cross. He's the guy that created the Hundreds, and it literally just boom, changed my life. It was like 100 days later, I'm like, not only do I want to start making time for making comics, like I want to make a career out of this. So like it's been my mission since then, since 2015. I've had like my little 5-year plan. I've had a lot of missteps along the way, so I haven't got out as much as I'd like to. Most of my work you can find in these books that we're doing, but it's going good. There's a forward trajectory, and it starts with stuff like this, meeting people like Peter and Kevin and everybody else from the hundreds, and here I am today editing my second book, which is pretty cool. So that's about it for me.
Peter.
Yeah, and I'm Peter Palmiotti. Some people know me. I've been working in the industry since 1991. I've been mostly an inker. I worked for Valiant back in the day, Marvel, DC. I worked for a slew of independent publishers. And now I'm trying to put together my own company and put together a lot of my own books and get out there under Has Comics Dude.
Comics Dude. And first, I just want to say hi to Mike's dad.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, Mike's dad, if you're watching.
Hi, Mike's dad.
How are you, sir? And also,
Sure,
I
he's
want to
getting
make
a kick
a
out of
little
that.
interesting note. I've known Peter forever. The Palmiottis are like family to me. And I was gifted something. I don't know if you know this, Pete, but your parents' old bedroom set that Jimmy had.
That's right.
Yeah, we have that. So we have your parents' bedroom set, and when our kids decide to move out eventually, we're going to completely restore it, and that'll be our guest bedroom set. It's a beautiful old set from, I guess, the 40s,
Yeah.
50s. Beautiful furniture, and it's a real honor to have that family heirloom of yours. And we've got the bed, we've got the dresser, we've got the a nightstand, we've got the thing with the mirror, the armoire, all that. So it's in good
That's awesome.
He also has all your baby teeth, too.
Oh, no.
Actually, yeah, inside there was a box, and it was a box of baby teeth. But there was also adult teeth in there, too. Crazy.
I don't know.
What's going on in the Palmiotti household?
Too much.
Anyway, so boys, now did you, like Mike, you were talking about that you had a 5-year plan. Were you a comic fan starting out? Like, in what?
Oh, yeah.
And
Big
what would you, what's your thing?
All right, so this is kind of a long story that I'll condense, but comics has kind of just always been a part of my life. I actually just learned recently my grandparents on my mom's side and my great grandparents on my dad's side are immigrants. So they were like, I'm like third generation on one side, second generation on the other. Well, on my mom's side, they actually learned to speak English by reading comic books. I didn't even know that, but I guess they were like huge comic fans, and that explains why my mom is big into comics too. But when I was a kid, my first introduction was my dad. He was huge into comics, always reading Batman, independent stuff, just about anything he could get his hands on. And we actually opened up our own shop. So like my family had a comic shop. So as a kid, I mean, wipe the displays down, put these cards in order, and take home a couple comic books for pay, kid, that kind of thing. So it was instilled in me, but also, once I started going to school, that was like my reward. Get good grades, we'll buy you some Ninja Turtles comics or He-Man comics or whatever I was into at the time. So it was like, now that I think about it on a psychological level, it's kind of like a value system that's been built into me. Do good, get comics. But so in addition to that, I've always been a real creative kind of kid. So I liked getting art supplies and paper and all that kind of stuff. I liked telling stories. My mom's got boxes and boxes of little rudimentary little comic books when I was a kid, but as I got older, I actually took it to like the next step. So I'd make little comics on like loose leaf paper. I'd go to the teachers at the school. I'd say, hey, can you, show me how to turn this into this? Like I'd show her like an X-Men comic or a Spider-Man comic or whatever. And so they'd run off copies for me and I would sell them for like a quarter or 50 cents on the playground. So anyways, I've always loved it. I've loved the medium. I loved the storytelling aspect of it. But for whatever reason, when it came time for me to kind of decide, like, what are you going to do? What do you, go to college or get a job or whatever? I just felt like at that point in my life, like comics were at kind of, they were, they're always going up and down. They were at one of their downs at that point. And so I couldn't convince myself or my mom or anybody that, I'm going to do this for a career. So I picked something didn't really click. I pursued it for about 7 years, wasn't really making any headway, wasn't really happy. Even when I was doing it in my free time, I was still writing and trying to work on my own comics. And, eventually I came across Jason Brubaker, the guy that created Remind, and I think he's doing Sith right now. And he had like a podcast or a blog, not a podcast, but a blog. And he was quitting his job and taking on comics full time, or at least talking about it. And it like something clicked, like, this guy's doing it. Maybe it's actually a little more possible than you thought it was, So that kind of put the bug in my ear. More time passed. I tried out another career. I worked in film for a little while doing like commercials. I got to work on a couple features, mostly independent stuff, but some like commercials for stuff that maybe you saw on TV. Doesn't matter. But I finally got like my big break in film as a production designer, doing concept art, building and designing sets and costumes and all that. Monster, I got to design a monster. It was really cool. It was like the peak of what I could do in that world, art-wise. And I didn't like it. I'm like, this is lame. Nothing turns out the way you want it to. You draw it one way, they make it another. I don't know about all this. So luckily for me, I got hired on a stop motion animation project. And so I was getting paid enough to kind of keep myself situated in my own place, so I could just work on my own kind of creative stuff alongside this stop motion project. And that's when I discovered Kevin Cross. He's the guy that made the 100 Days. And I started watching him. And it was a similar thing to what happened with Jason Brubaker, except this guy was more like, hey, here's your plan of action, 30 minutes a day, every day, 100 days.
Is 100 days a way to is it specifically for comics, or is it the way to help you to do any project? It sounds bad.
Yeah, it's like just about anything. He created it for comics, but at the time there was people doing like 100 days of basket weaving, 100 days of Pilates, 100 days of any kind of thing that you want to do that you're not already doing. And like, he was taking on work. He was doing client work. So he's a comic artist. He was doing a big graphic novel for a long time and all kinds of different illustration work. I think he designed skate decks and stuff. But in his mind, he was like, yeah, this is great. I'm doing what I love for a living, but I'm not making what I love. I'm not working on my own project, And so he said, you know what? I'm going to take this and apply it to comics. So 30 minutes a day, 100 days in a row. That was like the most important part. And honestly, man, like, it's magical. Like, it's probably crazy to say to people who are already in that groove, but for someone like me and all the rest of the people who hadn't done it, that builds discipline that you didn't know you needed, So I did like that 100 days, and I'm like, damn, like, it takes a lot more work to be a comic artist than I realized. Like, if I really want to make this happen, I got to do more than 30 minutes a day, I got to do like 8 hours a day, and I could barely do 30. What am I doing? So I actually did the challenge like 5 times now, but that's just because like I want this that bad.
Well, you're publishing. Now, is that a YouTube channel? Is that a website? What is that?
We finally built a website. It's 100daysofmakingcomics.com.
Man, that's really, everybody should check that out. That's really cool. Guys, if you don't mind, give the boys a like here. They're just great guys. And I love that idea of 100 days of comics, of making comics. Pretty fantastic.
Totally.
We've got some stiff competition tonight. I want you guys to know. It looks like you got Comic Artist Pro Secrets is live.
Oh.
Yeah, you've got that's Ethan's show. You've got Dave Johnson and Dan Panosian's Drink and Draw is live.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we've got who else? Dubs and April's live. You got a lot of guys. So you're up against some pretty stiff comic book.
Well, good thing we go into syndication right after we air, right?
Yeah.
So
you know what they don't have? You know what we have that none of them have? We got Billy fucking Tucci.
There you go.
They're missing
Billy
that.
fucking Tucci.
Man. Now, all right, so that's cool. So that's www.100days
of makingcomics.com.
Of making 100 days of makingcomics.com. That's fantastic. Yeah. So let's get you know what I find interesting, Nile?
Yeah.
Is you've got a lot of these people that do their Kickstarters or their Indiegogos are filmmakers, have a filmmaking path.
That is true, yeah. A lot of guys have gone from film and into comics because I think it's actually a perfect transition, to be honest with you. Especially
it really is.
When you're laying everything out. I mean, and you're no stranger to film either.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to make a short film a few years back, which we will be posting online. I will be doing an online movie premiere.
Awesome.
We just found the old. I found my editor who has the hard drive. So we're gonna do an online movie premiere, and then I want to go live on the show, Nile, if we may, and have all the original cast on it.
The entire original cast?
Yeah, if I can get Brian Finney, who is the star, I'll call Finney up, and I got to get him on. But I'm in contact with everyone else on Facebook, but Brian left Facebook. But I'll find him. I'll track him down.
Awesome.
I'll go through my Lennon and get him. Someone Jeff Stink, if I may just plug my own thing for a second. Jeff, Zombie Sama took off last night. It was crazy. Hail Caesar. Yes, Jeff, it was fantastic. Thank you. I went on Ethan's show last night, and we were at, I think, 37,000. And I woke up this morning. We were like 36,000, I think. And I woke up this morning, and we were we were just shy of 40, and now we're over 41,000.
Oh, wow, so, fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So thank you guys, all of you who helped support us. We're going to end it tonight, I think. Debbie put in the numbers today at our printer. The book is at the printer. The hardcover's at the printer. We have a printer doing the hardcover in Virginia, in Canada. The trade paperback is being printed in Virginia. We got to get the files for our special editions, which will be printed out in Arizona. And well, you guys know it gets exciting once you start putting this all together. Work, man. You know.
So Mike and Pete, let me ask you guys. So how many Kickstarters, Indiegogos, or any crowdfunding projects have you been a part of?
I think, go ahead, Pete. I've been talking too much.
Well, it's like I was part of like 3 different ones that sort of didn't pan out. I did a couple of my own years ago that got some money, and but it's like, it's like when I was with Marvel and DC and even Valiant back in the day, that's when things were really rolling for me. But like working in independent comics and making like less than half wasn't doing the job. So it's been a struggle. But I crowdfunded a book of mine, Arena, years ago. And now I'm finally going to get to work on it and get it out this year. But Retro will be first. Retro I just kickstarted. That was a 5-day campaign, and I got enough money out of that, and that's going to be first. And then I'll just publish Arena, and then we got a book right after that. It's like, it's been insane. Because I did a crowdfunder for like a digital tablet, because I've been inking forever, and people have been telling me for the last 5 or 6 years that I should get into digital inking, and I was like, it's a thought, I might get around to it. And finally I decided, okay, I put up a GoFundMe. It's like, you really want me to do this? Then share that around, pledge to it, whatever. And that got funded, so I ordered my digital tablet, and I'll be messing around with that and learning that. But I really love traditional inking. So, like, the whole thing behind my company is that I'm going to ink all the books. That's just my solution. It's like it's like I'm going to give myself my own work, and it's crazy, but it's like, because I believe, like, I'm kind of self-taught. I did go to art school. I went to high school art and design. I did go a couple of years of college for advertising art, but I got a day job right after college, and I had a day job for about 10 years, and it wasn't until, like, my brother said, hey, you want to make a couple of extra bucks? I went up to Marvel. I don't know if you know this story, Billy.
No.
I went up to Marvel with Jimmy, with Tex, Ken Branch, and I think one other person. And they had me fill in blacks on pages. Tex was working on Ghostwriter at the time. And being in the Marvel bullpen, after hours, nobody else was there. It was just us. Somehow we got in there. And just like tossing pages around. It's like Jimmy was filling in some ink, inking some backgrounds or whatever, some figures. Tex was just like drinking coffee and eating donuts and just like sugar rush. And Ken was helping out, and we were just like maniacs working on these pages because like they had to be in first thing tomorrow. And it was like 10 minutes there. I'm working, I'm busting my ass, I'm looking around at the same time. It's like, this is what I want to do. What am I fooling around with a day job? I don't really care about my day job. So it's like I made the decision right there to get into comics. And much like my brother, it's like I knew my way in through the door was as an inker. And I knew also that I sucked initially, but I worked 7 days a week, busting my ass, just learning my craft, and I got better. It's like with Valiant, that was my first real break. Bob Layton was looking for somebody to ink some backgrounds, and I got up there, and it was like a 9-to-5 job. I was across the street from FIT, where you went to school.
Yeah.
The building right across the street, and we had a whole floor, pencilers, inkers, colorists, writers, a whole production staff. When I was there, and I was there like 8 months, maybe a year, I tried to get some inking work. And Bob wasn't having it. It's like, I don't know, we butted heads. I don't know why. But it's like, I was skilled enough. I mean, he was throwing me work every day. He had little crowds of people form in his office every once in a while for lessons and stuff. It was great up there. I loved the atmosphere. But he never gave me an inking gig. So I actually helped out one of the full inkers over there, and he said he gave me 2 pages. He's like, I need the backgrounds on these pages done overnight. Can you bring them in tomorrow? I was like, sure. And for some reason, I went home and just inked one of the pages solid. I was like, screw that. I don't care. I'm just going to ink this page. And I went in the next day. I'm not going to say who it was, but I went in the next day. I handed it to my friend, and he's like, what'd you do? And you didn't even touch the other page. He's like, oh man, I'm going to be in so much trouble. And I saw him go down the office to Bob, and Bob just turned completely beet red. I don't know if he ever found out it was me, but that was pretty hilarious. I wasn't there much longer, but it's funny. I was working at Valiant as my day job, but then I got an offer from Defiant, where Jim Shooter went and started that company. So I was doing inking backgrounds for Defiant at night and Valiant during the day for a while.
Gee, so were you getting paid at Valiant?
Yeah, it was like it was a 9-to-5 job, 5 days a week, a weekly paycheck. It was freaking phenomenal.
Man, now, Mike, how many Kickstarters have you done?
This will be my second, actually. The first was the Life in Space. It was another anthology. It went pretty well, and so we thought, hey, let's do it again. And so now this will be my second.
Was Peter involved in the first one?
He was. I mean, actually, did you end up? I don't remember if you ended up doing a pinup. I know you. Go ahead.
I was going to do a pinup. Well, I was going to do a story originally.
Right.
And it was sort of like I was engaged, and I was engaged for like 5 years. And it sort of turned, it sort of turned rocky at that time. So we kind of broke up.
Happened when you're engaged for 5 years, Peter.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was like the second closest time I got to getting married. I'm still single, but
just to be clear, we weren't engaged. This was somebody else.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
but yeah, I kind of like, we broke up, and so my opportunity was like, I gotta focus on life, and so I had to pass.
Yeah.
But Mike was there. Mike did it.
Well, Mike, now tell us about your. I mean, you've got 28 creators on this book.
Yes.
How did you go about getting these guys and gals and these people? And can you tell us about some of them? And what's it like putting together a comic book with 28 different creators working on it?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. It seems like something that wouldn't be enjoyable, but for some reason it kind of is. So the way that this kind of came about, the first book, I made a couple friends. Well, I made quite a few friends during the challenge, but two of them, Marshall Lee and Chris McQuinlan, it was the three of us. We were already kind of hanging out, similar to this, like in a Google Hangout kind of thing at night, passing the time while we're all working on our comics and stuff. And we thought, all these people have done the 100 Days Challenge, and we kind of keep sticking around. There's a whole community built around it. Why don't we try to do something together? And we felt like it's already a great pool of people to ask to be a part of something, because that at the bare minimum, they can commit to 100 days doing 30 minutes a day. So we thought, all right, well, if we keep the stories short, then that's totally feasible. 100 days to finish a story. It'll kind of match up with the idea of the group. So we pitched it to the rest of the group. We said, hey, guys, we've been talking about this. What do you think? And everybody was down. I mean, in the first book, everybody that wanted to be a part of it got to be a part of it. We had, I want to say it was 14 creators actually did comic books. And then there was, I don't remember exactly how many, another like 10 or so that just did pinups. So our first book was it was the same amount of pages, but a lot less comics, if that makes sense. So wrangling 14 creators for these books was a lot easier than 28, but we kind of learned from that one. It was testing the waters for a lot of us. I mean, there's some people involved that have been in the industry for a while, like Peter, for example, or Jeff Lafferty in this book, or Scott Serklin. Yeah, he's been around the block. So has Gaz Gretzky. He's done a lot of independent work. Josh Kemble. Oh my God, his just the collection of comics that he's done is insane. He just posted it online the other day, and I'm like, what? Like, dude, you can fill a long box.
Yeah, his website. It's oh my God, it's so much stuff on there.
It's crazy.
It's awesome.
But what the really cool thing is like we all share this group in common, and we all share this like challenge in common, and so there's this camaraderie no matter kind of what. Where you're at on the totem pole or what you're doing. We got people in the book as well that they have no aspirations to make comics their full time. They're committed. They got a good job. They got a family to support. They're dedicated to doing it on the weekends, and that's their thing. Yep. And we all come together to make these short little comics. That's just crazy to me. So it was actually surprisingly very easy to answer your question this time around. We kind of laid it all out. This is what you got to do. This is the theme. This is the amount of pages. It's going to be black and white. And that was it. And we knew we could trust everybody. Everybody was really cool about, submitting things on time so that I could look everything over and, do all the editing kind of stuff, change this font or move that thing or fix this dialogue and all that. I had a lot of help from Karen as well. She did a comic in the book too. Karen Lewis Bonfiglio. She helped me proofread. So she was like the second round proofreader. So we got like a double, double test or whatever. Yeah, you
can have enough of those too. But what I love about it is that, and thank you for sending us the PDF and everything. And I mean, this book is done. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got, and even stories right now, you have like From Hell's Heart by Corey Kerr.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so cool.
You have then, a story, the story by Thomas Clemens. I mean, completely completely different style, but it's really cool to see all these different, we'll get into like fairy tales or whatever you want to call them, mythology, and just beautiful. It really is. I mean, I'm looking at this other one here. It's by your book. You know, look at the one that you did. How do you say it? Siablins?
Oh, goblins. You gotta say it like that.
Oh, geez.
Goblins.
Goblins. I mean, oh yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like you're from Boston there with the
The goblins. My cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's amazing. You get some anime styles, and you put together this. I mean, there's something for everyone in here.
Yeah.
And you know,
it's very cool, man.
It really is. Can you tell us a little bit about the price points of some of the books, of the book itself, and?
Oh yeah, sure. So it's $22. Our cost went up by $2 since last time because we have so many more creators involved, and just the costs in general of everything have gone up. Shipping's gone up, printing's gone up across the board. So we raised it a little bit. But I definitely want to note though, that regardless of the cost, nobody involved at all. Not me, not Karen. Nobody down the pipeline is in this to make any kind of profit. The whole agreement that we all have is we're a community. We're trying to get something done with the community together as friends, and so we do it for books. So our minimum goal that we hit it. We hit it like a little over 24 hours. That guarantees that all of our fees are paid, all of like the startup costs for getting a book put together and printed, the ISBN, all that stuff. That's all covered, plus the shipping and the cost of printing the books for the backers, and one for each of the creators. So from this point on, it's kind of like a machine. So every little bit that we make extra at this point guarantees the rest of the creators more books. So last time it ended up that we got 10 books to each creator, which it's not bad considering that's what we're doing it for. I mean, to walk away with 10 books is pretty good. I would love if everybody got 100 though. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you're all called D100s, you know. So,
right.
You know, think of it. You got a great logo. The video looks great now. Maybe we can share that. But, you know, think of it. You know, this is also a business, man. Yep. So you let's get everyone 100 books. Let's get all these creators 100 copies. We got 14 days to do it. And, you know, please share it, guys. I know that, you know, we're on a couple of times a week. You know, Nile and I do this in our spare time because we just love this whole idea of crowdfunding comics and creators, and we're doing it ourselves. And I love this new golden age of self-publishing.
Totally.
And people following their comic book dreams. And I don't know, Nile, do you want to play the video for
Yeah, let's
everyone?
jump right into it.
Okay.
So here we go, guys. We have the video for the Werewolves and Unicorns.
Right.
Kickstarter.
All right, let's do this thing.
The 100s Anthology.
Volume 2. Werewolves and Unicorns and
other mythical creatures.
Other mythical creatures.
Okay.
A collection of 4-page stories.
It's a collection of 4-page stories.
It's four. All right.
From 28 different
Indie creators worldwide.
Creators around the world who've all done the 100 challenge.
That's a lot.
28 indie creators from across the universe? Really?
from all across the globe. I almost said road.
28 indie creators worldwide.
Yeah.
Featuring cryptids
And creatures
From the air, land, and
sea.
Cryptids! Werewolves, unicorns, griffins, other cryptids of all kinds, the Loch Ness Monster, why not?
My story.
My story.
My story is about a witchcraft school.
A gladiatorial match orbiting the planet Jupiter.
And the unicorn gets bit.
2 parallel storylines.
the berserker knot.
Goblins.
My puppets.
2 fairy kings.
Dragons and treasure.
Mythical beings.
But there's another one that's like...
Goes to a costume party.
Bigfoot. Father at the end of his rope.
His best friend, Dragon.
I have arms coming out of things. Oh, look, see, you didn't even know.
A dance-off.
An overzealous nature show host.
Playing basketball and mixing it up spy versus spy style.
The thing that goes...
An undead Captain Ahab and a pod of mermaid witches hunting a giant narwhal.
Idiocy.
A werewolf who breaks up with his girlfriend.
A deadly creature rising from the depths of a Scottish loch.
Showcasing in black and white.
My story is about a griffin. Those are all things you might find in this book.
Maybe we should wrap it up.
Hello! I made a comic!
Alright, so the project is fully complete.
We have everything ready to go. We just need the funds to get this thing printed.
All the work is done.
It's a proven group of creators, so we're gonna make this happen.
Stories are written.
The pages are lettered and inked and ready to go.
You name it, it's done, just ready to print.
All we need to do is print.
So we've already successfully funded and fulfilled Volume 1, Life in Space. Yeah, we have already funded and fulfilled
Volume 1.
So, you can rest assured that we're not going to take your money and blow it on
Beer and pizza for Kevin Cross.
Particle receptors, antimatter receivers, or giant limited edition Power Ranger
bubblegum and trading cards.
Shake wakes and
A red stapler.
Fancy crowns and
sea monkeys off the internet, because we've gone down that path and we're not good with it.
Well, that is until after we print and ship all the books.
Then it's going to be bubblegum and trading cards galore. And I love
snake food and pudding.
No! At least not until after we fulfilled our commitment to you.
I don't even need tea in this mug.
So go grab a book.
Or 10.
buy one for your mum, buy one for your dad, buy one for your sister, your daughter, your uncle, your auntie, your best friend's dog, your best friend's neighbour, your neighbour's neighbour, your neighbour's 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 neighbour, and also Ted, who used to teach you art back in college.
Then back this Kickstarter right now.
So if you like comic books, artists, writers, supporting any of those things, short stories, anthologies, crazy creatures, mythological beings,
go buy the book and check out the rewards down below. See what you like, pick out something shiny.
Then maybe consider pledging to this Kickstarter.
then back this Kickstarter. Now, do it. You don't even have to finish this video. Just go back it right now. Scroll down, pick something, have it shipped to yourself.
Support this thing, because we'd really appreciate it, and you're going to get a really awesome book out of it.
Also share it. Share it on your social media.
Spread the word around.
Print out flyers, go to your grocery store, put it on all the cars in the lot.
Spread it around. Like fine butter.
Spam your local schools and libraries.
Tell your buddies, tell your enemies, tell everybody.
Make a sign, stand on the highway and shake it.
Spread the love.
Share it with your grandmother, share it with your mother, share it with your dad, share it with your dad's mate and your dad's mate's uncle and your dad's mate's uncle's daughter.
And help us promote the book.
And thank you so much for your support and for your time. And okay, I'm gonna go. Goodbye.
That is a very creative video.
And the filmmaker. Now, we got to party with these guys.
Right?
If the 100s ever get together at a convention and TUCCI'S there, I need to call.
We should do that.
We're gonna
It'll
party.
be 101.
101. I like
It's
that.
such a good group of people, and we have many great close friends within the group, and it's like I want to work with a lot of them, just and see their creations come to life, and a lot of them are doing their own books and crowdfunding them. I mean, it's like when Kevin Cross started the 100s, around the same time I met up with Jeff online and we became friends, and he started the Artcasters, and I was like, we should do videos, and we started doing hangouts under the name the Artcasters, and they sort of merged the Artcasters and the D100s, and in this like different circles of people, but it's a great support group, and it's like I managed the Facebook group for a while. I handed it off to Mike, who's done a phenomenal job with it. But I'm like, I try to be supportive of everybody, get to know the new people as they come in, and encourage everybody, and watch as many videos of what they're up to as I can, and everybody is like that within the group, and it's amazing.
So wait, how long has this group been around again? Was it 3 years?
Only since maybe around 2015. I think maybe it started 2014, but around that time, yeah, not very long.
So how many creators are how many creators are in this group? Currently,
it's a little over 100. And that's total coincidence.
Yeah.
We didn't plan it like that. But yeah, it's a little over 100.
So what does this project mean to you guys? Like, what does this project actually mean? So you're creating a book with 28 different creators. You're in your volume 2 of it. Obviously, you can't say, "Oh, this is mine," because this is a pretty massive group effort. So if someone, just what is it from your heart? What is this book to you guys?
Oh, honestly, everything. Kind of like what I was saying earlier, just the fact that industry pros can sit alongside, the guy who's committed to working on his little cryptid comic every weekend just because, and that we can come together and make something like this. Also, just I don't want to get like crazy political or anything, but we're an extremely diverse group of creators. We got people from all sides, all spectrums, all color shapes and sizes, that kind of thing. And none of that prevents anyone from getting along and putting these books out. And let me tell you, there's people in our group that have very different views. But the fact that we've all come together in this one book, just about comics, it's just about the comics. I think that's awesome, and I think that's important. I really, truly do. And
I agree with that 100%.
That's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be, yeah.
That's how it always was. I mean, it was created by men and women who grew up during the Great Depression when they realized, things were a lot more important than, you know what I mean, than who you voted for president or something like that.
Right.
And then World War, and they started creating this American mythology, this modern American mythology. And it's sad. I mean, somebody was talking about D-Day today, is that, that so many people gave their tomorrows, so many young men gave their tomorrows for our todays. And, and they gave their, what was it? They fought real aggression so you can put up with microaggressions by people. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. So I got a question about you now. You put together this big thing. Do you guys all come together and say, okay, this is going to be our theme? So let's do unicorns and werewolves. Like theme. How did the title come about? And to stick with this theme of werewolves and mermaid and unicorns.
Might as well have been werewolves and mermaids.
And the logo's awesome. Like I said, not just the D100's logo, comics logo, but the title is fantastic.
Oh, that's all Scott Zirklin. He did a fantastic job on the cover.
He's amazing. He really is. Yeah. And you've gotten a new backer, and you guys are now up to $3,438.
Nice. Right. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Sweet.
It's a rough night, though. Like I said, you had a lot of competition, and I apologize.
Oh, that's fine. So I don't know, Peter, do you want to take it about the theme?
Well, I mean, the details to it, but like the group decides on the theme, right? That's what we did. Yeah,
pretty much.
Essentially, the first book was, I want to say Lost in Space. What was it?
Life in Space.
Life in Space.
Yeah. We said life of the 60s.
Yeah.
You're showing our age, Peter.
Yes.
Will
Life
Robinson.
Life in Space, and this one was decided, I believe back when that book was done.
Yeah. This one was decided end of this last year, so end of 2018, I think. Yeah. And
with so I think how it's set up right now, each person of the 28 has their own special URL to post on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else. The one that gets the best results out of that gets to decide the next theme. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, we're trying something new, and it's been so fun because we got 28 people, so now they're all in competition. Who can direct the most traffic?
There's so much science behind this group. It's crazy.
How do you guys now? Do you guys get? I mean, Pete, you guys obviously do not live near each other. So how do you guys do? Do you do a giant Skype? Do you just send out an email? Do you get together at a show or something? How do you collectively come up with this idea?
So I don't want to take too much credit, but I kind of like when we're starting these things, I have like a packet put together. We create a group, and then everything's kind of like laid out. Like, this is how it's going to be. We have like an admin group. So there's about 6 of us. I'm one of them. And I've been kind of designated as like the anthology guy. So we talk about this stuff. We figure out, are we doing color? Are we doing black and white? Are we going with this printer? Are we going with that printer? All of that kind of stuff. I take all of that in like a sponge and then kind of look into it, research all of it, come up with the battle plan, and then make that packet, put it in a Google Drive, and then we open up a new Facebook group, like a private group.
Cool.
Invite everybody into it, and then that way everybody's got everything at all times. And Facebook has actually changed the way groups work. So now you can add something called units. I wish you could rename it, because that is not how we use it, but it's supposed to be kind of like for studying or school or something. But I put it together like a checklist. So, you got a list of things that you got to do. Get your packet, read it, sign the little loose contract thing that we've got, get your treatment or your summary turned in by this date, get your pencils approved by this date or whatever. And so they can actually click like when they're done with all those things. So it actually makes it super easy to organize and keep everybody on track. And since everybody knows kind of who to go to if they got a problem or a question or whatever, or they could just post it in the group, and if somebody else knows, then they can answer. It's actually a pretty efficient system. It's a little it was wonky at first, but it's good. It works.
Sounds like you guys have an efficient creative community. And, Cirque Works Art Labs says Mike puts in so much work and still finds time to make a comic. And, we have Billy, we have so many new names here in the chat that I've been just monitoring. And, please, guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And, if you got any projects coming up, outside of your 100s, if you're all in the 100s. But didn't the 100s come back from the dead or from outer space or something? Was that a TV show or something? But anywho, subscribe to the channel, like, share, ring the bell, notifications,
And maybe Nile, and no pressure on you or Frank Amazing, but maybe we can have a show with their 100 plus people, and everyone's like a little tiny dot.
A tiny little dot on the screen.
And everyone's talking over each other, and it's just one big mess, and we scare everyone away. No,
that would be awesome. It would look like Batman's computer. You just got all these different screens.
Yeah. Mike, Christopher Moonlight Productions said, people don't buy what you love. They buy people don't buy what they love, I guess. They buy why you do it. Right. He'd love to hear more about why you're doing it in the video, in your next video. So maybe that's something, because it is. We can hear the passion in your voices about it, and maybe for the next one to put that in the video, and because you really did spell it out, that this is a dream of yours. It's something, I love the collective, and I'm no commie, I hate communists. But, I love to read, It's almost like it's not a communist party, it's not a Republican party, a Democratic party. It's a creative party.
Yeah, and it's different because everyone's working and it's by choice.
Yeah, and if you leave, you don't get sent to a gulag or shot.
Right. Yet, we'll see. We're playing around with some things, but so far so good.
Comrade awesome. Mike, when I was in the service, I was part of the Op 4, the opposing forces out in Fort Irwin, California, and we would train against armored divisions and cavalry divisions. And we were the opposition forces, and we had this Soviet doctrine of a lot of our tactics and things like that. So I want to be in on it because I'll be Commissar Tucci and help you out.
Oh, right. Awesome.
So anyway, what do you prefer? Unicorns or werewolves?
Oh, question of ages.
I think we're going with griffins.
I'm partial to goblins, actually.
Yeah, now how did a goblin form book, Mike?
Well, we made it.
It's
so funny.
Yeah.
It does whatever Mike wants. Comrade Stalin, old Uncle Joe, of the 100s, isn't he? No.
But that's kind of the funny thing about our themes are super loose. Like we don't like try to, pigeonhole it like it has to be about werewolves and unicorns, and like life in space was kind of vague. So we tell everybody like just use this to inspire you, like whatever comes to mind. It doesn't even have to be fantasy involved or have to deal with these characters. Just what do you think of when these two things come together, like life in space is the perfect example, I think, of how that thing came into practice really well. Was we had people making stories that were verbatim about people in space, about life in literal space. And then we had other creators who were like, a couple of stoners who were spaced out, life in space, man. So it's like all up to interpretation. So with this one, Werewolves and Unicorns, kind of like, as long as you're doing something fantasy or horror, you're probably on track, Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun. I got to tell you. What's your? Do you guys? Either of you guys? I don't know if you want. Maybe I guess you did grow up liking unicorns. I guess. But like
My Little Pony.
Films, like I love that werewolves. I mean, one of my favorite.
Werewolves for sure.
Is Werewolf by Night. I mean that's if I could write any Marvel comic, that's what I'd want to write. Do you guys love horror films? You love werewolves? Yeah. Who's the best on-screen werewolf, in your opinion? Ooh. Werewolf film?
Wow. Pete, you might have to go because I love horror. I'm gonna have to think about this one.
Matthew, you come here and act like a little girl and ask about unicorns. Yeah, here comes my son. He's gonna. Their comic is called Werewolf and Unicorns. So now he's doing his shirt. Okay, hang on.
Hey,
Okay.
good. Daddy, did you buy me a unicorn for
Perfect impression.
That's my youngest daughter. Matthew.
Can't make my bubble fit.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
That's not what I wanted. It's the wrong color of Lamborghini, Dad.
All right. That's my... All right. Let's talk werewolves, all right? Enough of this. Enough of this 50 business. No, we should have got... Oh, God. Furries are so disturbing. They really...
Oh, yeah, they are.
Oh, yeah, I'll agree with that.
That's another conversation.
All right. So if we could get a furry who's a unicorn, would you two guys come back on?
Ooh.
And we could just...
Wait, what?
Wait, what is going? Where did the show go? So a furry werewolf and a furry unicorn?
I told you, it's all downhill. You come in and then it's just up for hours and hours. No, but seriously, do you guys? All right, let's talk horror, if you don't mind, because I love horror films.
Okay.
I know we're getting off the subject for a bit, but we like to have fun, and then we'll ask you about, more technical things or about mistakes or best advice. But for right now, who's your favorite on-screen werewolf or film?
Wow. All right, this is going to come out of left field and probably not be the obvious answer because I'm so young, but Lon Chaney. I'm a huge fan of that early Universal Monsters stuff. I love black and white stuff. I love the classic horror. I love those films. They were doing the MCU thing before the... There you go, right there. Yep. There you go. They were doing the MCU thing before the MCU, like a lot of people don't realize, but like Werewolf, Wolfman versus Frankenstein and all that whole universe was like, people were into that, I think, about as much as people are into the MCU back then, It was a huge deal. I love all that stuff.
Was it 1941?
Yeah, see, that's your father raising you right, because I bet you. Where did you grow up in the Chicago area?
Yeah.
Because we used to watch all those movies.
Svengoolie,
and I'm sure it's kind of my, and just watch all those great, Abbott Costello meets,
one of my favorites is Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man. That was a really good one. Yeah, I love that stuff.
I love those Universal horror films as well. And but what about you, Pete?
American Werewolf in London is still one of my tops.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good pick.
See, I'm a Lon Chaney. I have, if you see my little figures there, I got the two, Lon Chaney Sr. and Creighton, his son. Cool. And But I got to tell you, and I love the Wolfman. The Wolfman is my favorite all-time Universal monster.
Oh, wow.
I say that my favorite Universal character is the creature from the Black Lagoon, but I wouldn't call him a monster. I'd
Underrated.
He's a creature.
Yeah, definitely creature.
What do you think about Universal's failed attempt to make a franchise out of all that?
I love the first 2 Mummy films. I really did. I couldn't. I never got through watching The Wolfman.
No, the Tom Cruise Mummy.
I never got to it. I just saw the.
I heard so many bad things about it. It completely turned me off. I didn't even attempt to watch that one.
Wanted to avoid the heartbreak on that one.
Yeah. Don't ruin a good thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Rachel Weisz. So once she was gone, I'm like, I'm not gonna watch that. But I think the coolest werewolf, in my opinion, is Oliver Reed in Curse of the Werewolf. If you guys saw that, what great makeup! It's a Hammer film. I think it's 1962.
Hammer was cool too. Very underappreciated.
Yeah, indeed. So, what's your fascination with unicorns, Mike?
All right. Well, let me explain the title because it was maybe it'll make more sense. We didn't really pick the title; it was sort of given to us. So a while back, I don't even remember how long ago now, but we had our first person actually like quit the hundreds in a big huff. They were really upset. They said that we were we had it out for them basically. Like we never encouraged them and we were always making fun of them, and all of this stuff was made up, by the way. Like we're a very supportive group. We didn't know what was going on. So me and a couple admin tried to reach out to the guy and or girl, we'll keep it vague. We tried to reach out to them, and he kind of laid into us publicly. He's like, the hundreds are a bunch of jerks and blippity bloop and da 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 da, and they hate me because, you know, I make comics about this and all they make comics about are werewolves and unicorns. And we were like, what? So that just stuck. And I told my buddy Gaz at the time, like, if we do another book, that's got to be the theme, right? Like, it just has to be. Like, come on. So, you know, we threw it in the mix with the rest of the themes that everyone was voting on, and they liked it. Everybody picked that, so that's where it came from. Nobody was like, "Oh, we got to do unicorns," but if they did, we'd go with it too.
That is brilliant. I noticed that Peter Palmiotti is floating away to the lower right hand of the screen.
Yeah, my internet sucks tonight. I don't know what's up.
He's got that auto scaling going.
Yeah.
Well, we apologize for that.
Dr. Nile will fix that
now
for
you.
you.
Got this great, Nile, if I may. Do you want to ask? Because I keep talking.
Yeah, stop talking for a minute. Jeez.
All right, sorry.
So we all believe in unicorns. We all believe in werewolves. But do you believe in ghosts, UFOs, or Bigfoot? Pete, why don't you start?
I mean, there's probably something that's like a Bigfoot out there. Ghosts are more. It's like, I think I might have seen one in my lifetime, but I don't know. That's sort of like my belief of religion as a whole, and you know, for me to believe the other side of it. You know, I believe in what's here and now. I believe in what I could touch. I believe in. You know, that's where I stand. It's like.
So if you don't mind me asking, you said you may have seen a ghost?
Well, okay. So when I was really young, I had a cat, Jingles, all white cat. Cat passed away. I remember we had like a basement, you know, two-story house and then a full-size basement. And I remember going down the basement and none of the lights were on. But I looked into what was essentially the back room, some laundry, the furnace, and just a lot of junk and whatnot. And I saw a white shape running around there. And there was nothing that should have been there, but it looked just like my cat Jingles, who are already passed away at that point. It's not like a real ghost sighting where it's a person, but it's like I always thought, like, you know, maybe it was her. Maybe she's just trying to tell me something.
Ah, a pet spirit.
Yeah.
They do exist. They do exist.
How about you, Mike?
Oh, you know, I'm torn between the two. Like aliens, I want to believe, like I really want to believe that. That just sounds so cool to me. But I haven't seen enough to like really commit to that. Ghosts, on the other hand, I don't want to believe, but I've had some experiences as well. So I don't know. So where I grew up, I got a ghost story for you. Freaks me out to this day.
All right, hang on. I got to turn the lights off, right?
There you go. All right. I'll do that too. Okay, here we go.
I can't reach my lights.
I know.
So, where I grew up, just outside of Chicago, about 30 minutes away, there's a road called Munger Road, and it's so known for being for ghost activity that they actually made a movie out of it. So you can see this movie. It's a terrible movie, but it's about our road. And there's two different stories. One involves a bus full of kids getting stuck on train tracks. Another one involves a salesman from like the 1800s getting stuck on the train tracks. Either way, the key components are that there is a vehicle stuck on the train tracks, and the little kid dies in this situation. And so the ghost of the little kid, if you park on the train tracks, is supposed to push you off of them. So I was a teenager. Me and my friends thought, well, let's do this. Obviously, that sounds like a great idea. So we went to the road. It's an old train track, so there's no trains on it anymore. So we sat there, we parked on the tracks. We heard a train. We felt the rumble. It freaked all of us out. So we drove away. We were like, we don't want any part of this.
Oh, wow.
Somebody in our group convinced everybody to go back and do it again. They're like, you're a bunch of wusses. Let's come on. Like, it could have been anything. Let's go back. So we go back. We don't hear the train this time, but my friends in back swore that they heard whispering and giggling and things like that. We think they're just messing with each other. I mean, come on, like, you know, what's going on here? So nothing really happens. We leave, you know, oh, well, would have been nice, but didn't happen. So we go about our day. I dropped everybody off. I go home. I wake up the next day, and my car was filthy before we went here. I wake up the next day, and as I'm walking around the garage to get to the driver's side, there are little kid handprints all over the back of my car. All over.
I love it.
I didn't have younger brothers or sisters or anything like that. It scared the shit out of me. So I can't not believe, but I really don't want to because that's scary.
Dude,
I love it.
That's
yeah.
Scary. That's cool.
With that, I'm going to turn the lights back on because I'm freaking myself out.
Yeah.
Is that your little brother behind you?
Oh, no.
Damn, Billy, you even got like the red accent light in there. It's like you were sitting in the cockpit of a TIE fighter.
Yeah. I have my two reds and a yellowish orange.
Oh, that's cool.
To light my face. So I don't know. I did purples. I do greens. I like to play with them. You know, to make it a little exciting because my face is pretty horrific. I have a face for radio, so I might as well light it. You know, kind of mask it somehow.
Piloting an X-wing now.
So if I may ask, actually, since I just said that, are you guys Star Wars or Star Trek fans?
Oh, that's a good one, Nile. I love it.
I'm not going to say that too often. That's how you start wars.
It can be.
I like them both. I mean, you know, it's like growing up, it's like I saw Star Wars when it came out. Mm-hmm. And I want to say it was very similar time when Close Encounters of the Third Kind came out.
Nice.
And I loved Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It's like Star Wars was good, but it's like, oh, that was a good movie. You know, it didn't cling with me for some reason. It's like, but you know, that guy in Close Encounters with his, you know, potato mess and making a mountain and then the powerful music. I think the soundtrack really stuck with me of that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I loved it more and more the more I saw, even though people have problems with the later films and whatnot. because it became such a thing, an event. And Star Trek, of course, I grew up on watching the reruns of the original episodes, and loved that. Actually, the first full issue I inked in the industry was of Personality comic. I don't know if you remember that, Billy.
I remember those, yeah.
Yeah, I did Bones McCoy, his real life. I inked that issue. So, yeah.
Yeah, they were great. I think that was Adam Post. Adam Post was the publisher, I think. He's a great guy. He's a friend of the show and all.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they had a lot of fun books. You know, your brother worked on Madonna, I remember.
Yeah.
My friend John Tartaglione did, I think, Babe Ruth. And I think he did, a lot of sports books. I love that concept. I really did.
Yep.
I don't know if I would have went out and bought the DeForest Kelley book.
You could have been rich.
Yep. Anyway, guys, we're going over. But if I may ask, do you have any advice for people? And then, what advice would you give to someone launching their own Kickstarter? What advice could you give that you were given by somebody else, or what you guys have learned from your own?
Oh man, number one, do your homework. Like, do your research. Make sure you know what things cost. Make sure you know what all the fees are. Make sure you look into shipping. Get yourself a little scale. Get something that's like about the same page count that your book's going to be, that you can weigh and take all that stuff into account. Because once the bill comes due, you need to have all that money.
Oh yeah.
I'd say that's probably
we're
number
that
one.
ourselves,
Yeah.
With ours.
I was shocked how much actually goes into these things, and how many things that we had to consider. And my wife actually helps me with the crowdfunding part of it. She's like the unsung hero of the hundreds publishing kind of aspect. So we build this budget together. She does she's a manager, a restaurant manager, and events coordinator. So she's doing this kind of stuff all the time, managing budgets and stuff. My portion of it is more like, this is what we want to do. Here's my ideas on how we can do it. She's the one that comes up with the math to, can we do this or not? So we have like a crazy spreadsheet. I mean, it's practically like an algorithm. We've got multiple sheets and stuff, and it's like, if this, then that, and all that craziness. So when we finally come up with our goal, we know for sure that this goal is going to cover all of our costs, because I mean, I personally feel like that's important, because there's so many little hidden costs that you don't think about until you do start looking into that. Like, if you go over a pound, suddenly shipping doubles. If you go over 2 to 3 pounds, I mean, geez, you're going to be looking at like close to $30 to send your packages.
Two tips that I've learned is, one, we didn't charge for our domestic shipping. And we will from now on. And but also, someone has suggested a tip jar that someone just wants to contribute. I don't know if you guys have that on your page, but but if somebody just wants to give you $1 or $2, because all that helps for all those little ancillary things you don't think about.
Definitely. Yeah, Kickstarter has one automatically. I looked into Indiegogo, and I think you can set one up on Indiegogo.
Yeah, we had to set one up, but Indiegogo didn't, so Kickstarter does. Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys ever think of doing Indiegogo? Or are you pretty confident with Kickstarter?
I've definitely considered it, because I mean, especially with the way things are now, there's people that are very loyal to either platform. So I think no matter what, if you launch on one and not the other, you're isolating yourself from a bunch of your potential audience. Yeah. But it's also kind of sticky, because you don't want to launch on both, because that's kind of, I don't know, just personally, I feel like that might send the wrong message. Like, you go here or here, and maybe you don't fund on both. That could be a problem. But I've heard, and this is something I would love to experiment with, if not with like a book 3, if we did a book 3, but definitely with my own books, is starting on Kickstarter. So Kickstarter is like your startup cost, all your base costs, get your foundation built, finish that campaign, then bring it over to Indiegogo, because it's already funded. So then people over there know, hey, we're already going to get the book. Now it's like a pre-order system, because they have that, I don't know what it's called. On demand, right? Which, if you're planning on, continuing to print books and sell books, that's amazing. For us, it doesn't work so much like that because we're always doing limited runs. So if we kept Indiegogo open, the book would just be more expensive for us to print one or two at a time, So, but yeah, I like both.
Well, what I learned, and I think you guys should even explore this, that after the 14 days, after your campaign ends, you could do what I did and do a 2-week Indiegogo and get on. I mean, and get the Indiegogo crowd behind you, because everybody deserves a little bit of the 100s. I got to tell you.
Oh, thank you.
So, think of this as business. Really, seriously, think of this as a business, and get your books. And that's a great way to guarantee you guys will get your 10 books and all.
Yeah.
Come back on again if you're going to launch it with the Indiegogo, and we'll see if we hype it up and stuff. Yeah. But there's no reason not to do that. Now, again, I was talking to Ethan yesterday, and he totally convinced me not to do them simultaneously, because I was leaning towards that. Mm-hmm. As you said, some people might get make a bad impression if you're double dipping, but other people might just get confused.
Yeah.
You hit with one first, and then you hit with your other, and you do the same, same rewards and everything like that. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, and because you got all your branding and stuff too. You got all your graphics made up for Kickstarter, so now you got to do double that.
But it wasn't hard. I think we did it in a day. We did in a few hours. We did.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it doesn't take much to flip the graphics. I mean, we just picked a few things, right, Billy?
Yeah,
sent it over. We just switched it up.
I reshot the video saying Kickstarter instead of Indiegogo, and
that's funny. Did you do like an ADR thing, which your mouth is just kind of moving? It's like, go to Indiegogo right now.
He's like, here to Indiegogo, and then if you get this, go to Indiegogo.
Yeah, I put the same shirt on and the same jacket. You know what I mean? And it was cold. It was January, so it was cold. And I put the jacket on, and the same gray shirt or something, and I did the same thing.
That's awesome. That's a good trick.
There's so many great books out there. Like every month, there's great creators putting together really good looking books. They're probably well written too, but a lot of them, they don't fund high. Just doing my retro for 5 days. The one thing I learned is guerrilla marketing tactics are like what you need to get seen by people when you need them to see. And it's like stuff I just thought up on the fly. And I mean, I did a whole, I did a 7-hour stream when the campaign started, and I ended with an 8-hour stream. My brother showed up in the first one, and then a whole bunch of people showed up in both of them, and really just shared it out. And we were talking about retro, and we were talking about my plans, and we were just talking about comics in general or movies, and just really had a great time. I made it a dance party, is what I called it.
Yeah, speaking of that, actually, something you might appreciate, Billy, because you actually mentioned, trying to get your books out back in the day was completely different from what it is now. Like back then, you had to go to the shops, you had to go to Diamond or Friendly Frank's or whatever to get your book in front of anybody. And now you could do Kickstarter, you could do Indiegogo, all that. But there's this kind of reverse effect going on now, where it's like, okay, we have Kickstarter, we have Indiegogo, but it's a sea of people, and how do you stand out? So something that we did this time that's actually kind of unique in the modern age is we made an ash can. And we actually sent it out across the country to different comic shops. And we got some comic shops backing from it too, actually. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. Did you give the retailers a friend's friend level, that if you order 10 or more copies, you get a discount? Because don't they frown upon if you call it a retailer incentive? You can't call it that, I think, by name.
I think you can call it a retail package, right? Or something?
Yeah. I hope not, because that's exactly what we call it.
I went through it before. And
Whoops. Well, since this is on air, it's the friend incentive, so look for that graphic to be changed in no time.
Buy in bulk discount.
But yeah, we did a 5-book discount. So there's a retail tier because I've been around to the different shops trying to get them to sell my books, and they typically won't take more than 5. They'll take a risk, but they won't take more than 5. So last time we did 10. We only got 1 retailer that bought it. This time we did 5, and we've got about 5 retailers this time. So you can get 5 books at wholesale cost. So that's half the price. Pretty good, and we're hoping that even more shops dig it. So far, from what we've heard, we've had a couple of our teammates. Scott O'Green's one. He did a road trip recently and stopped at every single comic shop along the way and dropped off those ash cans and flyers to them. And he said that he would go in and he'd say, "Hey, I got some flyers for our book. Would you mind handing them out?" And they're just kind of like, "Yeah, whatever. Put them on the desk. That's fine." He's like, "Oh, I got these ash cans too," and like their ears perk up, like, "Oh, really? Well, let me check this out. Oh, what's this book all about?" Because there's that kind of nostalgia about it, and there's something cool about, I think, going through that extra little effort too to entice people and show them like, hey, we're serious, like, check this book out, here's a little preview of it, here's the people who worked on it. So I thought that was kind of a fun thing.
I actually think that going with the ash cans is actually a great concept, because you're showing that you've made the effort, and actually we believe in our product so much we've invested in a preview of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that grabs attention.
Yeah.
So TJ James asks, so Mike mentioned getting an ISBN. What is the main reason they pay to get one?
I think like the reason that we pay to get one is because inventory reasons. So if you want to sell to a store, if you have aspirations of getting into like a Barnes and Noble or something, just on the off chance that maybe that offer comes around, that's how they organize stuff in their warehouses and keep track of their inventory. So a lot of places like that require you to have that before you can submit it. So if you don't have it, they won't accept it.
All right. I guess that makes sense there, TJ James. All right, so guys, I think it's been a great show. Really appreciate you guys coming on. You got 14 days left on the campaign, so guys, if you can, back it, spread the word, share it. Also, for all of our new viewers, thanks again for new subscribers. We had some people in there saying they subscribed, and hopefully it's from the Healthy 100. And we're glad to have you guys aboard on the show. Any other projects you guys have going on individually, and that goes for all of you out there. If you guys have projects going on, things coming up, reach out to us. That's what the show's here for. We're another tool in the crowdfunding realm, here to kind of spotlight what's going on, what people are doing. Like Billy said, we're in love with this process. We're absolutely in love with it. Billy, has been a great friend to me. He's an awesome co-host, and it's awesome to have this show. Just to give you guys, me and Billy went out for coffee once and said, hey, I got this idea. He loved it. And I didn't even realize, I'm sitting across from a guy having a cup of coffee. He's become a good friend of me. But the pioneer of self-publishing is sitting freaking across from me. And I'm talking about crowdfunding.
You got a lot of people doing that way before me. Question, TJ asks, Mike, you mentioned getting an ISBN number. What was the main reason to get one, that they pay to get one? And I don't do that. My wife does it, so I can't answer that. So I know we need one too. And we got one.
TJ, I think if you rewind a little bit, you'll be surprised that I've answered that question for you.
TJ, by George, man, you're behind the time.
We've done it. We've answered that question.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Well, hey, it's been a great night. Sorry, Billy, did I cut you off?
No, that's okay. I got to eat. I haven't eaten dinner yet. And I got to
thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been a blast. I could do another 3 hours just shooting the shit with you guys.
And that's what we normally do.
You guys go Indiegogo, let us know, okay?
Cool.
Yeah, let us know.
Definitely.
And I think you should.
Yeah, I think you guys think about it. Talk to the group, whatnot, and see if you guys are interested in doing it. Try it out. It wouldn't hurt. There's many ways you can do it. If it doesn't become successful, then it could be like Kickstarter and no harm, no foul. Or it's going to be another success for you guys, like you're kicking it right now on Kickstarter. So congratulations, guys. It was a blast. Everyone out there, we've had such a great time. We'll be back on next week. Look out for the promos for the shows on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And again, everyone, thanks again. Let's thank Mike and Peter It's been an awesome show, guys. Great show. I appreciate it. Billy, my friend.
Yes, and I just want to say, TJ, sorry, he said, wow, double call out. I only asked once. Put an exclamation point. So now he's pissed off at us. It's late, man. I got up at 5 o'clock. I'm working on this Lady Death She cover. So, I didn't say that. But I'm working on a cover. So, hey, Corey Kerr is here. One of the
Corey Kerr.
I meant to shout him out earlier. That's the guy that made our video, actually.
Yeah, it's awesome.
He's
awesome video, Corey. Love it.
Great.
And we want to party with you guys for sure.
Yes. Oh, before we go, now, do you guys get together at cons? Do you guys try to coordinate anything like that?
We've definitely talked about it.
Yeah.
A couple of us have met in person too. Like I've met Gaz in person, and we've hung out a couple times. Peter, have you met anybody in person yet?
No, but I definitely want to probably next year. Really like hit some cons where other creators are at, and like maybe form little groups.
Yeah, I'm about to be 2 hours closer to Peter, so hopefully we can make something happen in the near future.
Fantastic.
Well, you guys do, I got the Blevins Mobile Media Center going on for crowdfunding comics, so I'll set it up, and we should have a bar and and beers and what do we call it, cocktails and comics or something. Niall?
Awesome.
What was it? It was ScotchCon.
ScotchCon.
So if you're in Baltimore, that's what we're going to be doing, ScotchCon.
Well, great luck, guys. You got a great project. You got a great group of creators. The book looks fantastic. Thank you for sending us a preview of it, and the best of luck to you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Everyone. Have a great night.
Niall.
Thank you, and we will see you all next week.
Kickstarter, Werewolves and Unicorns.
Unicorn.
It's flying.
Hey guys, thanks again for tuning into Crowdfunding Comics. We look forward to hanging out with all of our crowdfunding fans every time we go live. And don't forget to click the link below and subscribe to our channel. And there's a little bell. You may want to hit that too. This way you get all the great notifications when we go live and when we upload some awesome content. You want to follow us? Sure, go right ahead at Twitter at CrowdFundComics with an X, Instagram, Crowdfunding Comics, and Facebook at Crowdfunding Comics. Till next time, crowdfunding fans, we'll see you soon. Yeah, sure, why not?